Hello, hello there. Let me just get this going here. Got to get my guest lecturers in today. Hi there. How's everybody doing today? Actually, I'm going to just turn this on real quick too. Uh, my name's Eric. Welcome. We have a bunch of students today joining us from Toyo University. Hello, everybody at Toyo University. Thanks for joining us today. We also have some students joining us today from Kyoto University of Foreign Studies, where I teach. And we have also maybe a couple of students from Southeast Asia, namely University Gajah Mada and some other universities joining a couple of VR projects that I'm hosting. So welcome to the session today. We have a small presentation that I'd like to give to you about the basics of virtual tourism. And I would like to invite you to join our YouTube chat with this question. And the question today around, as I give this presentation, is if you could travel anywhere in the world using virtual reality, which means something like this here, this headset. Some of you may have tried this before, some of you may have not. But if you can travel anywhere virtually, like see the sights, smell the air maybe, or see some of the scenic things to go and walk around, like something like a Google Street View. Do you want to travel there more or less? Does this motivate you to actually go visit there in person? Or does this give you enough to think maybe you don't need to travel so much? I've been asking this question for the last couple of years, and there's a variety of answers, and there's a lot we can glean about the future of virtual tourism from this question, and we're going to use this question to help the discussion today. All right, so please introduce yourself in the chat. Let me show you. We have a YouTube chat right here. I'm going to be watching it. So during the course of today, if you have any questions or anything that's happening around VR that you'd like to comment on, chat with each other, and I will do my best to answer your questions in this chat. Okay, well, let's talk about virtual tourism. And as I talk about virtual tourism today, augmented virtual reality, I'm going to introduce those topics first, but I'm going to be talking through the lens of this project that we're doing, that we're inviting a bunch of students, and some of the students joining us today from Southeast Asia are a part of. And so you might see this hometown project be turning up from time to time. Just a little quick bit about me. My name's Eric. I work at Kyoto University of Foreign Studies at our Global Tourism Department. I also head up a research group called MAVER, Mixed Augmented Virtual Realities and Learning. I also founded a couple of kind of techie apps and development projects, mostly around augmented and virtual reality and learning contexts. And I also am a big supporter of TED. I help organize TEDx Kyoto here in Kyoto, one of the biggest TEDx events in Japan. So these things might come up today as well during our conversations. Okay. Well, today I'm going to lay out some context for you, talk about the project and how it relates to the future of augmented and virtual tourism. And if you want to stick around after I give the presentation to have a discussion and get your questions answered, you're welcome to stay for that or not when that's done. All right. Well, let's talk about augmented virtual reality. There's a lot of different ways we can talk about this kind of medium, this technology, but I think one of the most helpful ways to think about AR, VR, MR, XR, there's all these realities coming out, is that it's an evolution in a medium of communication for humans, right? You can see kind of like the evolution here. Like first we had the technology of print and the printing press, and the word was really important. And then we went to recordings and radio, and then we have cinema, and then all that stuff got put in our pockets with the smartphone. But now all that media, all those books, all that music, all that video is going to start coming out of our pockets, not just in our cell phones. And we're going to start attaching all that media and music and everything else to every layer of human consciousness. We're going to connect names and dates to a person. We're going to connect video to a place. We're going to connect songs to a book, right? We're going to be melding these things all together. And what that means for tourism in general is because when we travel, we want to, maybe enrich our travel experiences with extra information. We want to be able to visit. We are already using things like Street View before we travel to kind of see where we're going before we get there. And so your world of travel using technology is starting to mix and blend in ways that we didn't really even imagine just even 10 years ago. And augmented and virtual reality is going to be on the edge, the cusp of that effect, where we're going to be mixing our real life with the media that we consume. And augmented virtual reality is going to help us do that, right? So we have the word, we're the wordsmith, putting those words together. I'll move over here. It's really important. And then next we have voice and audio recordings that started with like records and then to tapes. And then now we have MP3s and streaming music. But, your cadence of your voice going up and down is also a part of that communication. We are evolving the way we communicate through the technology that we're using. And this new technology of augmented virtual reality is no different. It's going to change and affect the way that we communicate with each other. All right, so every step along the way, something has happened to kind of enrich, evolve the way we communicate. And when we travel, we're going to see this even more coming in the future, because different contexts, different customizations, different languages can be represented and connected to any place and anything, anytime. So a person traveling from Russia and Korea together can experience information connected to a place in Japan in their language, perhaps, or in see it in context from which they can most relate to, or like that kind of appeals to your interests or your hobbies that are connected to that place. And all that stuff is connected to all the aspects of this immersive technology. We call augmented virtual reality a immersive technology. Another way to think about this is how it connects real life to digital contents, right? Augmented virtual reality and immersive technology is a bridge between your life and digital contents, right? Things that are coming out and around the future. Everybody's talking about AI, artificial intelligence, cloud, and edge computing, and IoT, the Internet of Things, and 3D printing and things and processes like that. It's my argument that augmented and virtual realities will be the medium of choice when all of these technologies get into full swing, get into ubiquity. When we see them everywhere, we're going to be, humans are going to be using and integrating their thoughts and their communication with these kinds of technologies through the lens of augmented and virtual realities. Okay, so it's a spectrum. You can think of immersive technologies as how much of your perceived real life. Recently, there's even been a discussion and debate about whether our real life is not a simulation at all as well. But for this sake, we're in a real world. But right now, you're watching me on a video screen through YouTube. You're chatting online. There's a lot of digital elements that are being integrated in your experience in my communication with you right now. So the more we get simulated contents, the more digital contents is integrated into what you're experiencing. We can kind of categorize what we see as far as what kind of immersive technology is being used. So augmented reality integrates more of what you're experiencing, what you're seeing in real life, and putting some digital contents on top of it. And virtual reality is basically everything you see, you touch, you smell, every action of your body inputted into this is a simulation. And really, we're going to start thinking about, especially in tourism, designing tourism experiences, where we want to be on this spectrum. Do we want to just, like, for example, if you're going to visit a Zen garden in Kyoto, where I live in Kyoto, you may not want any digital contents to disrupt or contaminate that pure Zen Buddhist experience that a lot of people come to Japan to experience. On the other hand, there's a lot of anime fans, a lot of anime tourism, a lot of video gaming, for like the big game conferences that are held here in Japan. That type of traveler really might enjoy having their favorite characters virtually in their environments with them, and having digital contents heavily involved in how they want to travel and experience that kind of travel. So we're going to start thinking about this more and more in the design of tourism experiences and the design of our destination tourism. Here's an example of virtual reality. This is me in my lab here in Kyoto University of Foreign Studies. This is a game called Beat Saber, but I'm being displayed on top of it, right? So what I see is a bunch of blocks flying at me. I have lightsabers in my hand like I'm a Jedi or something, and then these things are being thrown at me. All right. Here's an example, another example of me in my lab, my virtual lab in Kyoto. I'm teaching students some concepts of fourth dimensions in physics, and so I can use virtual reality as a way to lecture and also to express different types of environments, different possibilities, different ways of thinking, and we're doing this in our tourism studies as well. We're creating tours, we're traveling without traveling, and we're doing that a lot using virtual reality. Just watching the chat here. I'm going to pick up a couple of those comments here. Graham Sensei, I'd love to do that. Great. You'd like to travel? We're going to give you some opportunities to join our project here, hopefully. Thanks, Minnie. It's great. So just some comments, not really some questions here, but please keep them coming. All right, let's get back to this. Here's an example of augmented reality. This is a application I developed 5-6 years ago, and it connects digital contents to physical things. And I'm going to show you a project in which we use this in Fukuchiyama, Japan, in 2016 and 2017. Where you can see now, this is a smartphone app, capture of a smartphone app, and you're looking at something, and digital contents are being put into your view. Pokemon Go is another example of augmented reality because it is putting digital contents in your physical location. So if you're walking around, to give another Kyoto example, Kinkakuji, and then you realize that there's a Pikachu there with you, so that means some digital content is brought into your physical life, in your physical area, and that is more of an augmented reality thing. VR is basically you going into digital contents. AR is digital contents coming into your reality, your world, in simple terms, right? So these are some examples of virtual and augmented reality. If you want to put this way into the future, we are going to start putting our phones on our face. A lot of my research, if you're interested in research around this, you can find on my project website in the chat. But we are moving towards curating and getting digital contents overlaid on our real world all the time. We're already using mobile augmented reality with our phones. We did try to get Google Glass and some other things out in the public about 5 years ago. We do have a lot of ethical and business model type concerns to work through before this technology becomes really ubiquitous. We can see it everywhere, but it is coming. And so if you're a traveler, you can imagine creating different types of experiences, customizing experiences as they walk through a museum or a cultural heritage site, and adding different contents that relate exactly to the interests of that person. Just like Facebook, every time you click e-nay or every time you have an interaction with that website, Facebook curates something just for you. We're going to start moving to creating tourism experiences curated and customized for specific people through this technology. All right, so I have a ton of projects and examples that I'd like to share with you around this technology. The My Hometown project, I'm going to try and invite every one of you, especially in Toyo University and those of you from Southeast Asia, to start creating your own virtual tours using a program I've devised. But first, I'm going to show you a couple of other examples around this technology that we've already used in tourism context, so you can maybe get a better idea of the possibilities and maybe get inspired to dig a little deeper into what is going to happen in the future around immersive technology in the travel and hospitality industry. I've implemented this technology in events, for example, TEDx Kyoto. We've done it in museums and libraries. We've done it in kind of cultural art galleries and things like that. It's very good with art, kind of digital and real art blended together. It's very interesting. We've done it in team building exercises for when people travel together, to have them get to know each other a little bit better through digital and real means simultaneously. There's a whole bunch of interesting case uses that you can dig deeper either into my website or on my YouTube channels if you want to learn a little bit more about that. Yes, via an AR rally. That's what I'd like to talk a little bit about right now. So one example I'd like to share with you right now is the Fukuchiyama AR rally we did in 2017. We also did it in 2016. It was a slightly smaller, but it got improved and iterated on in 2017. And what this was, in short terms, if you've ever done a stamp rally, which are very popular in Japan, where there's a bunch of actual physical Hanko-like stamps where you go run around to different temples or different areas in a specific location and see the sites and stamp your book. It's almost like a passport where you get these stamps, and it's like a collection. You try to get them all, and maybe there might be some incentive or gamified tourism activity involved. If you get all the stamps, you receive a prize or get something in return. You get that achievement, that gamified achievement. And we took that kind of concept, and we kind of started putting digital overlays on top of it. So in this example, we had about 200 students, 200 participants. We teamed them up with faculty and staff, and it's sort of like an orientation program for our students. But this was in our community engagement program, so we really wanted to push them out into the community right away. So augmented reality really helped us do that. We got 22 locations around the city where students were expected to go and talk to community business people, council members. There was a couple of NPOs, an art gallery, a museum, talk to the local police and fire department officials about safety and health and things like that. All the things that you need to engage in a community, we put into this augmented reality app. And the app, of course, phones can track you where you are. It kind of guided you to the next spot, gave you some challenges, and you moved on from the next part. So these are kind of team challenges that we had at each of these locations. For example, this right here, let me move over, is a poster that we put up at the local castle, the Fukuchiyama Castle. And if you use the augmented reality app, it would overlay missions that you would do as a team together at this specific location. So this is more of a team building exercise. We're building communities together and engaging with the community using this application as well. So we had kind of 4 mixed reality kind of stations, a bunch of little like side missions as well. And we had a mission control that some of my Zemi students at the university were managing and helping to direct people around the area with this. So we went to Citizen Plaza, and we're going to see an example of that right now. So this is Fukuchiyama Shimin Plaza, and it's like it's a public library, it's a public space, and you would walk in and see these signs and point your augmented reality app at it, and then a video would get overlaid on top of it. And in this particular video is telling you to go through the Shimin Plaza up the stairs on a specific course, and on the wall of the stairwell is the history of Fukuchiyama. Fukuchiyama is a city in northern Kyoto Prefecture. But that's written in Japanese. We had a lot of mixed, different people from different countries in here. So what I did with the augmented reality here is overlaid languages, specifically English, over the walls on the center. So we can start to get an idea of what can be done with augmented reality, right? So now we see the wall in Japanese, but we also see it's overlaid on the wall in English as well. So as you walked up the stairs, you looked at different events in the history of Fukuchiyama. So you're learning the history, and then you're also getting it in multiple languages. And you get to the top level, and there's a box, and there's also some augmented reality videos and things in there, and you're asked questions about the contents that you got walking up the stairs. And so it's like a mission. So you can imagine in the future for travel, augmented reality, like a Pokemon Go, people are searching for digital things as a stamp rally, going through different locations, getting information that's customized for their language, their interests, their hobbies, etc. And so there's a whole bunch of things that you can start to bring as you start to meld these ideas back together. A good question just came up in the chat. Matthew Turner, hey Matt, do you know of any mixed reality technology that's being used for virus prevention in public areas such as social distancing? The answer is yes. This is augmented virtual reality, takes in a lot of information about you, your movements, where you are. You can already see this in Google traffic. If you use Google Maps, it knows a lot of people using Google Maps or tracking a lot of Android devices, so it can tell where the congestion is. And this concept's already being used to see where the congestion of people are. And I've consulted with the city of Kyoto to start maybe even using augmented reality to help guide people, disperse people into less congested areas. Travel has a big shuchu mondai, right? Concentration issue, especially in Kyoto. Everybody goes to Kinkakuji and Kiyomizu-dera at the same time, same place, same time. So we can start using augmented reality to kind of disperse the travel and customize it. So I started this program called Forever Kyoto, where we're getting people out to rural areas and giving them experience through VR to travel to these places so we can kind of disperse the travelers. All right. All right, so how about you? Does this kind of technology interest you? So I've started this project called the My Hometown Project, where you can actually learn how to create virtual tours and start to understand how this technology works a little bit better. So I'd like to invite you and the students at Toyo University and Gajimada, if you're joining us as well, to maybe learn a little bit about what's happening around augmented virtual reality. So in this project, we're making virtual tours and making a collection of virtual tours, especially during the pandemic. We can't really travel. We can't do our cultural exchanges, the ryugaku, yokochushi shimata, right? So we need this ability to kind of travel and share our culture where we grew up. So in this kind of short course, you'll learn how to create a hometown tour. And already students at our university and a couple of universities now that have joined us in Southeast Asia are creating these tours, and we're actually curating for each other. So right now I'm showing you a video of students actually traveling to my hometown in Tucson, Arizona, in the States. And we're doing that together in the classroom, but we're also now doing this together virtually. So we have this whole collection of tours that we've created together. And we've even created a VR lobby. So we can't get together in the classroom. So now we're getting together in a virtual classroom where we're walking around and students are putting posters, promotional posters of their hometowns on the walls of these virtual environments. So we can walk around, we can by chance meet other people that are interested in travel as well in these lobbies, and look at the posters that are on the walls and choose maybe one poster of a city that we really want to try and visit. Click on it, and then we get sent to all these places, mostly in Japan, but now we're starting to get tours of places all over the world. So here's Arashiyama, Kyoto. This is Kanaseno-san here in Kyoto. She's one of my students. She created this tour of Arashiyama where she grew up. You're in this virtual environment. You say, oh, I want to go to Arashiyama and get a guided tour of this place. And then voila, you're sent to Arashiyama. You can look around. If you have a headset like this, you can actually move your head and look around the environments. If you're on your smartphone or your tablet device, you can use that as well. Right, so we're starting to figure out ways to use this to not only give people a chance to taste what it's like to visit, but being able to share your places that you can do well, get practice giving tours, give practical experience designing and curating a walkthrough, a guided tour of specific places. So there's a lot of great things that virtual reality can hit, and especially learning about tourism, getting experience about tourism, getting the chance to visit Machu Picchu and maybe the Eiffel Tower or other places like that is starting to become a thing. So if you're interested in that particular thing, I'm going to put the link in the chat as well. It's togetherlearning.com/myhometown. I'm going to start a new group of students doing this in the fall. And just one quick, I'm going to switch over to my browser here. Here's my homepage. You can find information on this about more research about augmented virtual tourism, about the apps that I've created. You can download some research, some published analysis of the projects I've shown you. There's a whole bunch of talks I've given already at TED and South by Southwest about this subject, so you can see those videos as well if you're interested in digging deeper into this. And I'd love to have you come to create tours with us at the My Hometown Project, and that's what this website's all about. You can see a little bit more about how to create virtual tours, get experience about what the technologies are and what goes together with them, and take some tours of our students that have taken this course before you. For example, Toyoka, Japan. Let's go to Toyoka, Japan. This is a tour created by one of my ex-students 2 years ago.
Hello, my name is Akari Shibagaki.
And she created
Welcome to my hometown, Toyoka City.
What's famous in
Toyoka City is located in northern.
But this is more travel that we couldn't do before the pandemic. When could
Here
you go
it's
travel
famous
to a
for
town
tasty
and
egg,
learn what it's like to grow
so
up
you
here,
can
or
eat
see a
and buy
bench where
some
someone
kinds
got their
of
first
foods
kiss, or
using
someone
eggs.
tasted
Eggs
Hanko
using
for the first
here
time,
is
right? This
very
is
fresh,
a
and
kind of
chickens were
tourism
brought up
that
eating
we're going to start to experience,
non-antibiotics
and we're
foods.
learning a lot about the
Every day,
design
there are
of
many
tourism
people
moving
and
towards the future,
very
what it means
crowded,
when this integrated.
so
So
I
that question that
recommend
I
you
asked
to
you
wake up the time.
before,
By the way, the
which was,
big
do you
bear
think
you can
tourism
see.
will increase your motivation to travel or will it not? The answer is nuanced. It's not yes or no. It's so far in asking this question, it's going to be more the design, the experience of your travel. Is it going to um, complement the scenery and the virtual tour, or is the virtual tour going to entice, advertise, show off some things from which you have to express some new experiences when you actually visit there? So if your tourism experience is 90% the scene, you can experience 80% of that with virtual reality. But if you have some other experiences that you'll need to create, some gamified experiences, some experiences like popular in Japan where you actually grow your own tea leaves to drink it later or to experience some cultural setting, a lot of that stuff will need to be expressed, experienced, and cultivated a little bit more deeply, I think, as this stuff moves towards the future. All right. I think this should be about the end of my time speaking at you. I'm going to invite you to look me up online through my website. If you want to connect with me on social media, um, 友達になってください. Also, Line. You can join me in my Line. Let me show you that as well. Oh, a couple events we have coming up. Just a moment. Hachigatsu Tsuitachi. If you want to come see the new showcase of students and try out some virtual tours, we have that coming up. And then in the middle of November, we have some new products and new kind of experiences in virtual and augmented reality. And if you want to come to that and see this develop as it comes along, please show your interest by reaching out to me. Okay. Again, my name's Eric. There's some places you can find me online. I'll put some more links in the chat. And then you can stick around for some questions and answers. Right. Let's go to the chat here. There's a couple of questions that you guys have asked, and I'm going to throw that first, my information of my website and my line. Right, okay, beautiful. Toyo teach, I think that's Graham Sensei. Ask a question. Well, I love that question. I'd love to answer that one. I'm just going to look through and see if we have any other questions in here. I would like to experience virtual reality. Where can I experience it? Beautiful. So please check out the Hometown website. You can try out some hometown tours created by students there. You can purchase a headset and try that. For example, this is an Oculus Quest here. These run about 4만 to 6만 yen to get one of these, but if you don't really need these to experience virtual reality, augmented reality too. All you really need is your phone. You can experience some of this already in your browser. You can also go to, well, maybe not. These are still a little bit tricky to go to, but there are virtual kind of game arenas all over Japan now. There's a famous one in Tokyo called the VR Game Lab, where you can go in and experience some of the latest in technology and virtual reality. But there's still a little health concerns because we're going to be sharing headsets and touching things and things like that. So I maybe hold off on that until you get vaccinated. All right. So please check out My Hometown Project as a place to start for getting some more experiences in virtual reality. What kind of ethical issues are major in this technology? Well, there is a ton of stuff, and this is stuff that I've been thinking about a lot in the last 10 years as I've been developing these kinds of things. So ethical issues in immersive technology. I have a ton of videos online that can express this concept, this idea. Let me show you just some of the issues as I show you some of these videos. And I'll put the link in the chat as well. Right, so here's my YouTube channel, and you can see ads in virtual reality, some of the things that are going to be happening around collecting how you move, what you look at, where your eye gazes, how you move your body, and connecting some of your biometric data, talking about biometric data and how that's going to be used to leverage to target you with ads. The idea of collecting data, collecting information is going to be more heavy. The idea of curating information for people. One example of that is you put in a Google search, you put in some text, very low amount of data you're giving up, and you get 10,000 search results with a Google search on the web. You take that a step further with your mobile phone and voice. You ask your Siri or Google a question and you get one answer. You're giving your voice, your location, and connecting that to a whole bunch of sorts of data. The amount of data going in is more, the amount of data coming back is less. Ramp that up again to virtual reality. Where you move, where you're located, the things in your room, the objects, the brands it recognizes, your eye movement, and your other biometric data like your physicality, how tired you are, can now be used to curate and target information to you specifically. So there's a lot of ethical concerns around what business models, when they get attached to these new higher level of data that's collected about you and how that will be used and shared. So there's a whole bunch of other videos on here as well. Please look that up if you want to know more about the ethical issues around immersive technology. All right, let's see if there's any more questions here. Yes, I want to try the lightsaber game. Yeah, great. The lightsaber game. That one is called Beat Saber. Let me show you, see if I can show you that. There it is. Let me get Yoda out of the way here. See you, Bernie. All right, this is one of my favorites. Matthew Turner, there's a lag in technology available and awareness of ownership of this technology with the broader public. How do we bridge this gap and make it accessible technology for all? Wow. So Matthew Turner asks basically a accessibility question. So this technology is higher end. It's a little more expensive and you need more infrastructure to use it properly. You need more bandwidth, you need good Wi-Fi, you need a faster processor, graphical processors to kind of process all of the extra graphics that are involved. And in some ways, this is giving people a chance to travel, to visit, to do training, like medical training that usually is very expensive. You have to travel a long way to get. It's helping democratize a lot of kind of experiences and training and things like that. But on the other end of things, it's also widening the digital divide, this gap that we see between the privileged and people that have access to the internet and the highest level of quality, and the people that don't have access to the internet. We're also starting to see gaps in the people buying technology and people being products of technology. Facebook is a great example of this. There's the famous saying, if you're not paying for it, the product, you are the product. So in Facebook's, you are the product. You are being mined. You are being used to gather behavioral surplus from which Facebook uses that data to show you ads and make money. It's the same thing is starting to see happen with the inclusion of Facebook ads in virtual reality. People that can't afford it will be forced to be seen ads and shown things inside of virtual reality or in augmented situations as well. Those that can afford it and pay for it will not be have their attention needed to be given to such things. You can think of an episode of Black Mirror maybe that's related to that. Can't hear me over the music. Oh, maybe that was on another screen. Not playing any music now. Graham says they think it would create demand. I think so too, at least in the short term. It depends on how that digital experience is designed, and it also depends on the people that visit there before and connect the actual review, kuchikomi, of that experience to that virtual tour. Thanks, Matt. Maybe I was showing a YouTube video or something where the music was too loud. Well, let's see here. I think we're starting to wind down. If there are any last minute questions from anybody, please put them in the chat or send me a message. Just looking through here. What kind of impact will the practicality of these technologies have on future travel? Great question, Mr. Wang. So what does it mean for the future of travel? So that's probably a good question to end on. Well, it's going to kind of change a few different things. It's going to change, I think, the perception of travel, right? We're already bringing think about it in the mobile era. So we're already bringing our phones to places, and people, when they go to a restaurant, maybe 10, 15 years ago, would sit down, look at the view, check the menu, ask the waiter for recommendations. What's happening now is people are coming in and asking for the Wi-Fi password, right? And getting online and looking at a few review sites to see what people in the past have said about the service and the best kind of things to eat at that restaurant. And we're also sharing at the same time. We're Instagramming our food. We're sharing to our friends and family where we are right now through Twitter and things like that. Think of that as another step forward where people can be there digitally and physically at the same time. The worlds between your digital self, digital contents, and actual traveling to somewhere will start to be fuzzy. So we're going to have to, a lot of times you hear your restaurant needs to be Instagrammable. So maybe we can start thinking about your restaurant needs to be mixed realitable or something, some kind of term in that sense. We need to think about the virtual layers that are put on our tourism destinations and what that means for travel and how people are experiencing it, because they're going to bring their own customize their own things with them, right? Because people are bringing their phones, which has all of their friends. They're bringing all of their friends with them on travel. Now, when we start to integrate all of these digital contents, they're going to bring their interests, their hobbies, what they expect to see, what they like to see into the travel experience, and they're going to help curate and customize their own way to travel, what to see, what to hear, what to think, actually. And so you're going to want to think about how to facilitate that, because people are going to start demanding or thinking that they can have the exact experience, integrate the exact things that they may want to customize in the way they travel. right? That's this on-demand type mentality that happens with a lot of media. And we might start to see it more with travel. Or, of course, you can also go the opposite route and have like the Zen Buddhist thing and get people out of that experience as well. So we're going to have to start thinking about that level of technology integration as we design this. All right, everybody. I'm going to stop it there. I'm going to put on the demo video. You can watch a couple of videos before I get off. I'm going to be on the chat for another couple of minutes, but I'm going to stop talking now, stop answering questions live. But you can please join our project, My Hometown Project. You can look me up if you have further questions. Thanks for joining me today, everybody. And I hope to hear from you sometime in the future. Thanks.